Marcus had a pattern. Bad day at work, straight to the biscuits. Argument with his partner, takeaway for dinner. Bills piling up, chocolate and crisps. He wasn't eating because he was hungry. He was eating because he was stressed. And every time he did it, he felt worse stressed about the situation and guilty about the food. Double punishment. I'm Darius, and I've got your raw daily fuel for today. Here's what nobody tells you about stress eating. It's not a character flaw. It's not a lack of willpower. It's a coping mechanism. Your brain has learned that food provides temporary relief from emotional discomfort. The problem isn't that you're weak. The problem is that you're using a tool that creates more problems than it solves. Today, I'm going to show you how to transform stress eating into movement, not by restricting yourself, but by giving yourself a better tool. Because when you replace instead of restrict, everything changes. Let's start with understanding why stress eating works in the first place. When you're stressed, your brain releases cortisol. Your body craves quick energy, usually sugar and fat, because evolutionarily, stress meant danger, and danger required fuel for fighting or running. So you reach for food, you get a temporary dopamine hit, and for a moment, you feel better. But here's the problem. That relief is temporary, and it comes with consequences. 20 minutes later, you're still stressed about the original problem. But now, you're also feeling guilty about the food. You haven't solved anything. You've just added another layer of stress on top of the first one. Marcus would finish a packet of biscuits and think, great, now I'm stressed about work, and I've ruined my diet. Double stress, double guilt. And the cycle would repeat the next day because he hadn't actually dealt with the stress, he'd just temporarily numbed it. Here's what most people don't realize. Movement triggers the same stress relief response as food. Exercise releases endorphins and dopamine. It burns off cortisol. It gives your brain the relief it's seeking. The difference is that movement doesn't come with guilt, regret, or additional problems. It's a better tool for the same job. But here's the key. You can't just tell yourself, don't eat when you're stressed. That's restriction, and restriction creates more stress. Instead, you need to give yourself a replacement behavior. When stress hits, instead of reaching for food, you reach for movement. Marcus made this shift, and it changed everything. Bad day at work? 5-minute walk around the block. Argument with his partner? 20 push-ups in the living room. Bills piling up? 10 minutes of stretching. Same trigger, different response. Same relief, better outcome. The genius of this approach is that you're not taking anything away. You're not saying, I can't have food when I'm stressed. You're saying, before I eat, I'm going to move for 5 minutes. You're adding a step, not removing an option. And that makes all the difference. Here's how to implement this practically. First, recognize your stress triggers. What situations consistently lead to stress eating? Work pressure, relationship conflict, financial worry, boredom, loneliness. You can't redirect a pattern until you can see the pattern. Marcus realized his biggest trigger was late afternoon work stress. Every day around 4 p.m, when deadlines loomed and emails piled up, he'd head to the vending machine. Once he identified the pattern, he could interrupt it. Second, build your stress response menu. This is a list of quick movement options you can use when stress hits. The key is variety and speed. You need options that take 5 to 10 minutes maximum and require no equipment or preparation. Marcus's menu looked like this. Walk around the building, do 20 push-ups, sprint up the stairs twice, do a 2-minute plank, stretch for 5 minutes, shadow box for 60 seconds. When stress hit, he'd pick one. Didn't matter which one, just pick and move. Third, create the pause. This is the most powerful part. When you feel the urge to stress, eat, pause. Don't say no to the food. Just say, not yet. Tell yourself, I can have that in 5 minutes, but first, I'm going to move. That pause creates space between the trigger and the response. It breaks the automatic pattern. And here's what Marcus discovered. Half the time, after moving for 5 minutes, he didn't want the food anymore. The stress had been addressed. The craving had passed. The movement had done the job food usually did. But here's the critical part. Even if you still eat after moving, that's not failure. You've still won. You've created a pause. You've given your body a healthier stress outlet. You've weakened the automatic trigger response pattern. Progress, not perfection. Fourth, make movement the path of least resistance. Marcus kept trainers under his desk at work. He identified a walking route that took exactly 5 minutes. He cleared space in his living room for push-ups. When stress hit, movement was easier than finding food. Remove friction from the better choice. Here's what happened for Marcus over time. Week 1, he'd move, then still eat, but he felt better about it because he'd done something positive first. Week 2, sometimes he'd move and not need the food. Week 3, movement became his automatic response to stress. The pattern had been rewired. This isn't about never eating when you're stressed. It's about giving yourself a better primary tool. Movement first, food second, if you still need it. But most of the time, once you've moved, you won't. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, every time you reach for food when you're not physically hungry, pause. Before you eat, move for 5 minutes. Walk, push-ups, stretches, doesn't matter. Just 5 minutes of movement, then eat if you still want to. Notice what happens. Notice how often the craving disappears. Notice how much better you feel addressing stress with movement instead of food. Notice the pattern starting to shift. You're not broken. You're not weak. You've just been using a tool that doesn't work. Now you've got a better one. Stop eating your stress. Start moving through it. That's your raw daily fuel for today. I'm Darius. Move first, eat second.